Am I the asshole for refusing to dye my daughter's hair because her school complained? My daughter, 15 female, dyed her hair reddish brown for her birthday. The school has a dress code that specified natural hair colors only. Her natural hair is black, and I didn't think it was much of a change, and neither did her hairdresser. But during a parent-teacher meeting, a teacher said the hair didn't meet dress code. I said the color grows out of people's heads, so why was it out of dress code? She then told me it's clearly not her natural color. I shot back tons of her students that had blonde hair and highlights when clearly natural brunettes. She claimed they looked like they could be blonde, but my daughter's hair was supposed to be black. She's also Asian. She's Asian, so it's pretty racist to say she can't dye her hair, and I brought it up with the principal. He agreed with her, saying it was against dress code. I saw a ton of white kids in her class with obviously brown hair that dyed it blonde. And even red, but no one said anything. They want me to darken her hair so it looks natural. This went on until the end of the school year, and I contacted the superintendent several times, but she never got back to me. It's almost the start of school again, and I got an email from the principal reminding me my daughter's hair is only allowed black. She still has reddish brown and doesn't want to dye it back.
Storytime about how I caught my boyfriend and my best friend talking trash about me. My boyfriend swears that this was the first time they ever spoke badly about me behind my back, so I need you guys to tell me your opinion. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years, but it's been on and off for a very long time. He's always been a little bit toxic and extremely jealous. Jealous to the point where I can't have any guy friends. He has to know exactly where I'm going and with who, and he always likes to approve the content I'm about to post on Instagram. One time I actually posted a bikini picture of me and my best friend, and he flipped out. He said all I was doing was trying to get attention from guys, and of course he called me a slut too. After this, I broke up with him and we didn't see each other for like 3 months. But apparently he called my best friend and asked her to convince me to get back with him. And she succeeded. I got back with him. But it seems like my boyfriend just kept getting even more jealous of everything. He even got jealous of my new boss. My boss happens to be young and very attractive, and my boyfriend forced me to quit. You heard that right. I quit my job. After he forced me to quit my job because he thought I was attracted to my boss, I held a lot of resentment. So I went and talked to my best friend. Cause duh, isn't that what you usually do when you have a problem? I went straight to her house and I cried to her. She told me that I was stupid for even leaving my job, and basically that I needed to break up with my boyfriend. Then I got really mad at her. She convinced me to get back with him. I ended up leaving her place cause I was so upset. I went to my parents and told them everything that happened. My dad was so upset, he called my boyfriend and told him to never ever look for me again, and that he was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. My mom even called him the devil. After my dad yelled at my boyfriend on the phone telling him to stay away from me, my boyfriend started calling my phone non-stop. At this point, you can imagine I was super upset. My boyfriend forced me to quit my job, which I did. My best friend wasn't listening to me, and my parents were just attacking my boyfriend. So I decided to go back to my best friend's house. I pull up to her apartment building and park. I walked all the way up to her apartment, but as I got closer to the door, I could hear my boyfriend and her speaking. I immediately thought that my boyfriend was there looking for me, but something told me to stop and listen at the door. That's when I hear my best friend calling me a stupid bitch, that I don't appreciate my boyfriend, and that even though I'm a brat, I still get everything I want. Then my boyfriend says, "You should have heard her fat ass dad. I should beat the crap out of him for his disrespect." I walked in and told him I heard everything. My best friend immediately apologized and backtracked. She said she was just trying to calm my boyfriend down, who was being aggressive. My boyfriend also apologized. I told him I couldn't trust them. They swore that that was the first time they'd ever done that. My best friend keeps calling me, but I won't answer her calls. Should I break up with my boyfriend?
Am I the asshole for not wanting to see my father? My dad, 36 male, and my mom, 33 female, split up when I was about 6 months old. My dad has been on and off of drugs for most of my life, and I didn't know till about a few years ago. I mainly live with my mom, but I saw my dad a few times a couple months ago. In February of 2020, I went to his house and told him I did not feel comfortable around him. He is very narcissistic and paranoid. At the time, he was high off meth, and he grabbed me by the throat and tried to choke me, while screaming at me about how disrespectful and ungrateful I was. My mom finally pulled him off me, and I ran to my mom's car. Well, he chased me down and slammed me into my mom's car. He told me how I was a liar and how I'd end up pregnant or AR'd within the next year, and that he did not want to be a part of that. He then tried to call the cops on me for harassment. I've only seen him twice since this. He's begging me to come see him and has apologized. So, am I the asshole for not wanting to see him after all this?
Storytime about how I was voted the ugliest girl in high school. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Growing up, I was really awkward. My parents always used to call me the ugly duckling, but my dad told me not to worry that when I would grow up, I would become beautiful. Honestly, this really stuck to my head, and I am very beautiful now. I used to have braces, acne. My hair has always been curly, but I didn't know how to treat it back then. My mom had really straight hair, so she had no idea how to do my hair either. And this was the toughest thing for me. I would show up to school with knots in my hair because I didn't even know how to brush it. Eventually, my mom did start taking better care of my hair, which really helped. I also didn't know how to dress for my body. I wore big hoodies, big t-shirts, while the other girls in my high school dressed for their body type. I honestly just had no clue. I did get bullied, but mostly by boys. I think the girls probably just felt bad for me, so I never really had problems with other girls. A group of boys would always bother me. One of them even asked me out pretending that he wanted to go out with me. Of course I said yes because I actually believed him. He asked me to go to the movies, and when I showed up, he wasn't there. I decided to go watch the movie anyway, but the next day in school, I couldn't hear the end of it. To my face, this guy called me stupid. A few days later, they made a list of the ugliest girls. What they did was pass around some flyers with all the names on it, and then they had people write the #1 ugliest girl on the list. As soon as I saw my name on the list, I wanted to die. I pretended I was sick and went home. There was this one girl who actually stood up for me and the rest of the girls, and she was actually one of the prettiest girls in the entire school. She told everyone to knock it off, but nobody listened to her. Instead, the boys added her to the list as well, but there was no way that she was going to get voted #1. I would show up every day to school that week wishing that I was dead. Finally, on Friday, they came out with the winner. And of course, everyone picked me. I was completely mortified, but I actually started laughing when I saw the list. It was like the stress from the entire week had finally accumulated, and my reaction was to just laugh. While they were all hoping that I was just going to break down and cry, I started to laugh in their faces. The teacher asked me what was wrong and I showed her the list. She ran over to the principal's office and everything became way too dramatic for me. So I literally decided to run away from school. When I got home, I told my parents everything. My dad actually started to cry. He actually did feel really bad for me. They sat me down and told me that looks weren't everything. That's when my dad told me again that I would grow out of this awkward phase. Then they decided to take me shopping to the mall. We went into this really cute clothing store that I had always wanted to go to but never had the courage to, and they actually bought me a full wardrobe. After that, that's when my mom took me to a salon and they actually did my hair. They gave me a whole hair care routine, which I had never even heard of before, and I even went and got some Noxzema, which actually the Noxzema really worked for my acne. So when I got back to school, I felt like a different person, but not really because I was still me. The principal had gone out of her way to make all the boys pay, but really they only got suspension and didn't go to school for a week. The rest of high school was actually not that bad. I did look a lot better. 5 years later, I'm absolutely gorgeous. And guess what? One of the boys who bullied me actually slipped into my DMs last week. What should I say?
My neighbors are snitches. So yesterday I was really bored, so I just decided that I would drive around my neighborhood. So I got in my car, I was warming it up, whatever, and I see my neighbor staring at me through their window. So I'm like, is this dude really about to say something? So I just ignore him. I'm like, do whatever you want to do, I don't care. And I pull out of my driveway and I drive off. 2 seconds later, I see my neighbor's car following me. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're just leaving the neighborhood. Maybe they're going to the store or something. Maybe they're not even following me. So I take a left, they take a left. I take another left, they take another left. To the point where I make a whole circle and they keep following me. So I'm like, these bitches are really following me right now. So I did 2 more circles around the neighborhood, still were following me. Up until I pulled into my driveway and they sped off. I love having nosy neighbors. I literally want to cry. So if you didn't know, I have a sister and her name's Ashley. And we both have boyfriends. And every night we both fall asleep on the phone with our boyfriends. So one day we're all hanging out and we're like just talking. And my sister's boyfriend looks at me and he's like, you need to stop going into your sister's room in the middle of the night. And I look at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have a reason to go into her room. Like I don't go into her room, especially in the middle of the night. Then my boyfriend hops in the conversation and he's like, no. He's like, no, I hear Ashley go into Kayla's room every night and stare at her. So me and my sister both look at each other and we're like, we don't go into each other's rooms, do we? And we agreed that we do not. And they said this has been going on for months. So for months, somebody or something has been going into me and my sister's room for about 15 minutes every night and watching us sleep. But it only gets worse.